Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Business Foundations. I'm your host, Anthony Duran, and I'm here with a very special guest here to talk about her amazing apparel brand. We have Elisa Adelphin, the co-founder of Basic Problems Company. What's up, Issa? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Ann?
I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm nice and warm. I'm happy to see you. It's been a minute since the
It
last
has
time we
been a minute.
spoke. Yeah, and I'm excited to hear more about this business because I'm still waiting on that lavender hoodie. So
I
I gotta,
know, I know.
I need that. I don't know, something about it as soon as I saw it. And then that's another thing that I really like about the stuff that y'all make is that it really connects with people on a level where it's just like staying. I feel that,
That
you know.
was the main goal. That was, and I guess we'll get into it. I'm jumping ahead of myself, but that was the main goal and that was the intention. So I'm glad that that delivered. What we didn't expect was all the shortages that happened. So your lavender hoodie will come when they decide to bring it
All
back
right.
in stock, really.
I got this recorded now, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
I've been saying it. I'm holding myself to it.
All right, so tell me about it. Like, what was the inspiration behind starting this brand, and that process like of really discovering that it was something bigger than yourself?
What's crazy is it started with boredom, to be honest. Like I felt like, especially during COVID, I was like, I need something to do. And I was sitting at home doing nothing. I was obsessed with crafting, always have been, as you know. So
Hmm.
I remembered just getting into making hoodies, mostly because I got a Cricut, which, if you don't know what that is, it basically kind of just cuts everything and makes it the way you need it to be. You can make cards, you can make hoodies, you can make whatever you can make. And then my family really just started supporting me. My uncle got me a heat press. I don't even think I told him I wanted to start a business at that point. I think he honestly got it so I could make him stuff. But I just remember in undergrad, the thing that was coming to be before COVID was all of these hoodies with basic phrases or quotes or terms. And I loved the idea, but I never felt as though there was something that I loved enough to get for myself. So I was always
Hmm.
finding myself saying things like, oh, this should be on it, or oh, this should be on it, or how funny would this be? And I was like, well, I have this Cricut. I should just make one. My friend and I were like bouncing back and forth a bunch of different random things, laughing in the middle of the night. And we were like, we should make these. And we were just like, okay, we're putting these basic quotes on these things. Um, and we were just laughing about them because also of how so superficial the things were ultimately. Um, so we were just like, okay, let's put these on it, call it basic problems. And at the same time, we were also like, okay, what else do we want to do? We don't just want to be a hoodie business. Everybody is just a hoodie business. That's when we came up with the idea of putting 10% of the profit towards other nonprofits. So we basically came up with whatever profit we make, 10% is going to other people. How are we making these decisions? Raising awareness. So we decided, okay, each month, every month is an awareness month. It's like 15 different awareness months. So we found one
Yeah.
that resonated with us, that we thought would resonate with other people, and it basically allows people to be as basic as they want to be, but also make a difference.
That's really cool. So that was the first phrase that really popped. It was just like basic problems. Like this is something that everybody relates to, and that's why it really helps connect people together. Because it
Right.
doesn't matter where you are, what your age is. We all just have like certain stuff that just we all experience every day, and it's just annoying.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, what are some of the causes that you recognized early on that you really wanted to align your brand with, that you felt like you were extremely passionate about, you and your co-founder?
We have done nonprofits based on sexual assault. We have done nonprofits on students get young girls getting education, women in STEM. I have a friend of mine who has a nonprofit for students to get scholarships after their senior year because it's very unlikely to get a scholarship once you're already in college. It's called Be the Difference. So we did put money
Mhm.
towards that. We put money towards so many things I honestly can't even keep track. But it's very exciting for us. And it's also exciting for people to get excited about what we're giving money to.
Yeah. That's all. This is scholarship. Because honestly, I know that experience where it's just like once you do get into college, it's like all the scholarships dry up. It's crazy. I remember
Yeah.
I was transferring and I got just like one little transfer scholarship or whatever, just to basically cover room and board. And then after that, it was just like I didn't qualify for anything. So
There's
damn,
nothing.
I
All
wish
the
you would have came around
qualifications
earlier.
have to be a rising first year student and an undergraduate accredited institution. There's nothing for sophomores, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors.
Mhm. So how did you actually manage your time? Because college is stressful and you were in school while you started the business, right?
I was, and it started when we were virtual. So it wasn't too hard in the beginning because I was always home and I really didn't have much to do. I'm
Mm,
currently now in physical therapy school, which has raised a lot more time constraints. But the goal, my main goal, we did end up, I think originally our turnaround time was about 2 to 5 business days. It was shorter. I
mhm,
had to take a step back and realize that I can only do what I can do. So it did change to, I want to say, 5 to 10 business days, which allowed me a little bit more leeway. Um, and so I just have to set a time. I'm like, okay, I have these orders in. I have my great partner, Lily. She will tell me when I need things in by. That's the kind of
mhm,
like she takes on that role. So I will be like, okay, this is the latest that I can have this one done. And I'll work on that one and all the other orders I have come in after that. So it kind of just gets them all out of the way. I
mhm.
kind of just try and tell a part of my schedule at this point. Like I have a class and an
Yeah.
hour, I have to make hoodies.
And it's pretty much like another class essentially. So it's probably, do you think it was easier for you then in that way? Because you already had such a great structure in place just from, having to get those credits in.
Yeah, it's something about like having a strict schedule. Like I'll talk about being burnt out and then I'll go get another job. Like it's just something about having things to do that really, for some reason, somehow keeps me moving.
Mhm. I'm kind of similar in that way. Like I just can't really
Mhm.
sit still. Like and it's honestly very telling, I guess, of the environment that we grow up in, where it's just like we gotta always be
Absolutely.
productive. Like this hustle
Absolutely.
culture that we develop, not even just in America, but as like people of Caribbean descent, like it's
Yep.
it's deep. Like
Yep.
you gotta get it somehow all the
My
time.
mother
Do you
has
think that
Lord knows how many degrees. I don't even know if we can keep up anymore, but she's always trying to get a certification. And I'm just like, what more do you need? Like, what more do we need to do here?
everything. Got to start wearing them like pins on your shirt.
No, seriously.
All right, so I guess so for right now, you're still in school, you're still managing the business. Do you feel that, I mean, obviously you have a good schedule going on and you're very diligent with your discipline that you attain to it, but how do you take care of yourself also in the meantime and making sure that you are kind of enjoying the fruits of your labor as well?
That is an amazing question that I'm still building my answer to be honest.
Mhm,
I've learned that my my work ethic, like it doesn't allow me, it takes a lot of effort for me to give myself grace and give myself breaks. And as we
mhm,
know, I will take on more, even though I feel as though I'm tired, stressed, overwhelmed. So I had to learn to schedule that in as if it's a class too. I will plan things. Let's say I'm planning my month. I'm like, okay, third weekend, I'm gonna go visit family. Like it has to be a set thing in the schedule for me so that I know, okay, you need to have this done. There's no excuses. It's been on the calendar. You're gonna make it happen. So I kind of turn it into work, if that makes any sense. I know it sounds crazy, but
No, that's a fact. It really has to be that way.
yeah. So that's the main thing that I found has been the most beneficial for me, to give myself grace and give myself time to reward myself because I work hard and I do deserve that. And I think it's taken me a long time to realize that.
Yeah, we all deserve it, especially when you have a business that is doing so much to not only benefit yourself but the community. And I think that that's extremely admirable. Like it's really cool when businesses are sharing that wealth. You know,
Right.
it's something that is essential to being part of a business because you even though you kind of come up with the idea on your own and you have like a little team here or there, it's never really something that you do on your own. Like you have
Yeah,
to have a support system. So
absolutely.
outside of your co-founder, and I know that you mentioned that some family members also helped you start the business off. Can you really speak more to the support system that you had that not only empowered you to set out on this journey, but continues to encourage you to keep going?
I think I sat on wanting to start something. My mom has owned a business probably most of my life. And seeing her, it just was like I never saw the ins and outs because it started when I was so young. I see people
Mhm.
have businesses, little side gigs all the time. I see it everywhere. And in my mind, I always knew that was something that I was going to do. But it was never, I couldn't fathom it actually happening. And I think I had a conversation with you when I was first considering getting started that I was simply terrified. Like I
Mhm.
was horrified that it wasn't going to work, something was going to go wrong, someone wasn't going to like it, I was going to be overwhelmed. I was worried about all of the what ifs.
Mhm.
And I think it was you that said, you just need to do it. Like you're not going to know until it happens.
Yeah.
You have to just invest yourself in it and be willing to take that risk. So once I got over the fear and the perception that it may bring across, and I just did it, don't get me wrong, I was still terrified as I hit set. I was terrified. Um, but it kind of just fell into place. And it's so crazy. Our store is mainly based on Etsy at this point,
Mhm.
where it shows you all the schematics, and it's like we put in so much effort to broadcast on social media, share with our friends, share with the people in any type of organizations that we may be in, and we still get like 30 to 40% that found us from like offsite ads. I didn't put out an offsite ad. I don't even know how that happened. But like it's getting further than I even thought when I was thinking of, okay, how are we going to get this out there?
Mhm. Yeah, it's really cool when people start to develop that not only recognition of your brand, but start to become loyal to it, where they're
Right.
just waiting because the values are there,
Yeah.
and it shows with the stuff that you're putting out, how you're branding it, the marketing, all of it. And it's funny that you bring back that conversation that we had because I do vaguely remember telling you that because it was around the same time that I was struggling with my business and I was like, maybe if I could encourage somebody else and uplift them, like it'll help remind me why I did this. And it's one of the things that I've learned is that you just have to be courageous because all those bad things that you said that you were afraid of was going to happen, they're going to happen anyway.
Right.
It's never going to be perfect. Adversity is just something that is a given, and you have to just accept it and
Right.
trust in yourself and know that you prepared for it. You've done everything that you needed to do to take this challenge head on. You're
Right.
skilled enough, you have the knowledge, and you have the work ethic that goes along with it. So it's really just about being courageous, like you said. You're terrified, but you're gonna do it anyway. You're not
Right.
gonna let that paralyze you. And
Exactly.
I'm really happy to hear that you've definitely gone to a place where you're able to maintain that mindset while
Yeah.
growing this business.
Yeah. It's been a journey. I'll say that. And it's still going.
Mhm. Yes, keep it going for as long as possible. So actually, that brings me to something else. So what do you want to this brand to be in the next couple of years? Where do you want it to go? Because I know that you're in a process right now where it's still very new and you're really discovering all of these different things that I guess weren't a part of the initial plan, but now it's just like you recognize these opportunities and you obviously want to take advantage of them.
Yeah. I think what we've realized is it's a hoodie, and that's where we started, and that's our main base. But we see an opportunity for, okay, summer hits, now what? Like what can
Mhm.
we get next? What can we do to keep business going in the warmer seasons? I mean, people will always use a hoodie, but it was clear when looking at the numbers, we sold less in the summer. So We're trying to figure out what happens next. Like, how can we become a year-round business? So I think that's our next goal. And again, a summer has passed and we didn't release something. Fear, true fear. We've had ideas, we've bounced a bunch of ideas, but it's like, is it going to work? So it's just getting over those humps and figuring out what's next.
And that comes with every business.
Right.
It's really something that you have to keep reinventing yourself in some way. Kind of like in the way Taylor Swift does with every album. She just out here
album.
switching it up and then just going to the moon with it.
And you never know what you're going to get.
Huh?
And you never know what you're going to get. And I want that. Like, I want a surprise. I want people to be interested, because even like my family members, how many hoodies can you buy? Like, if people who want to continue to support, you're not going to keep buying hoodies. So what can I bring in that brings intrigue next?
And I think you're definitely built for that. You know, you've already shown a level of resolve and ingenuity. So even like the hoodie that you're wearing right now, let me see, because that looks nice.
This was our limited edition Valentine's Day. Let me see if you can see. It was Valentine's Day hoodie, the only white hoodies that we have.
The only
one. We'll be back next Valentine's Day. So we will see where it goes.
Oh, that's really the only white one? I didn't even notice.
The only white one that we have. That was strategy when we were first starting. If you don't use white, then we can stick to all white vinyl.
A little trick of the trade.
A little trick of the trade.
See, and that's one of the most fun things about business too. It's just all the little things that you just learn along the way, because there's never like, I mean, sometimes there is, but you know, depending on when you start, where you start, there's going to be a different level of challenge and a different type. And it's really cool to see that you can always find a way just with your creativity.
Yeah. And that's another thing. When we were first starting, a lot of the fear was also, what if this falls short right away? Will we lose money? We don't want to lose too much money. We didn't know how many hoodies to buy. We didn't know who was going to be intrigued. So we actually did, our first set of orders was a pre-order. We did like a 3-week pre-order situation to see how many orders we got. And that's how we determine moving forward how many hoodies we should be buying at a time. So we're not losing money along the way.
Yo, that cash flow, we got to be on it.
Listen, I was like, listen, Lily, if we can do anything, I want us to only put in money once. If we can then just keep it going, where we're just using the money that we've made to continue to grow, that's a win for me.
Right. Hold on, that's another thing. Speak to how important it is to be doing pre-orders. Because a lot of people, they have this idea that you have to have something finished to sell it. And I'm like, no. If you brand it right, you could sell out before things even go on sale, like Taylor Swift.
You know what I learned? People are going to buy what the options are. Like, if you say you're doing pre-orders and they're not going to be in until next month, they're going to do that. They're not going to be like, I'm not going to get it because I want it tomorrow. They're going to get it. Like, someone is going to get it. So pre-orders is really, and especially when you're just starting out, pre-orders is genius for the sake of, you don't have to buy in bulk and then fall short. I think the biggest part for us was we sell in multiple colors. So we didn't know what colors would land. So it was like, we weren't like, oh, we should get 5 of every color. We were like, well, we should tend to the colors that people want. So the pre-orders really gave us that insight into what people were attracted to the most. So I think pre-orders is amazing, especially for a small business to really get yourself going. And don't be afraid of people wanting it right away, because they'll wait if they have to. They will.
Yes, they will. It's such a great business hack.
Yeah.
Important parts of business. I always stress that to people, because I've been working as a bookkeeper for some time, and I always recognize that that's one of the biggest issues, is just burning through cash, like all the time. You watch Shark Tank, people are always talking about these amazing new inventive ideas they have, but they're just burning through cash. And it's really cool to hear that from the beginning, you are already aware of how important it was to have that capital on hand, have the inventory, and making sure that you're making your profit margins the way that it should be so that the business is now self-sustainable.
Yeah.
How did you get to that frame of mind? Like, where did you learn these principles of business?
I know when we started thinking about the money it was going to take, I was like, okay, this is kind of steep at the end, like to start with. To start out, it's giving steep. That's what it was given. So I was like, okay, what can we do to avoid putting too much money in before getting money out?
Mhm.
And that's when the whole idea of the pre-orders came to be. And it probably was strategies that came along from my mom having a business and seeing how she handled certain situations and money that she had to put in and give out and stuff like that. So it maybe was just something that I've seen, and then I had to figure out how to apply that to basic problems.
Mhm.
But it was really just like bouncing ideas back and forth, which is why it's amazing to have a co-founder who you're not just running ideas in your head, you're saying things out loud.
Yeah. So, what is it like having that co-founder? You just mentioned one of the benefits of it is not ruminating, in your head and really getting lost in your own, I guess, doom spiral, but
Right.
somebody who can help having an active exchange of ideas with you and really help, you guys guide each other.
Right. It really is a guidance. Like it really is a partnership. I think we work very well together. There's never like a power struggle dynamic or anything like that. And I think it's interesting because when we first got started, we are friends. So it was like people say don't get into business with your friends, like you got to be careful with that.
It's
And
tricky.
we had to have open and honest communication. We had to be like, listen, like our friendship and our business, it's two different things. When we're having our business meetings and we're having that communication, it's professional. I mean, we're not going to get into a tux or a suit and tie, but we're gonna like separate that from our friendship conversations. And we really do try to do that. And I think that is the biggest part that has helped us the most. I mean, don't get me wrong, she'll randomly text me saying that she wants to put on a shirt, but for the most part, we try to keep it separate.
Wow, that's really cool because you got to have that separation between work and life because work
Right,
is not life.
right.
Like that is essential. Personally, me, the people I work with don't get my real phone number. I have like a Google Voice number. I
I'm gonna
like,
start doing that.
yo, it's just I have to have that separation. Like it's
Yeah,
important. And the fact that you and your friend didn't allow the business, because I would imagine that it's not always great. Like there is going to be stressful moments and there's going to be some tension that
right,
you still can see beyond that and be like, hey, like we have a foundation here that's deeper
right.
than just like dollars and cents. Like, and that's really cool that you can keep that going.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like are your biggest strengths in this partnership? What roles do you take on confidently for Basic Problems Company?
I think confidence grows as it happens. It's very
Mhm.
much like sometimes I have to remember that I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah.
that I've crafted for a long time. I made hoodies and stuff like that before. I made shirts during homecoming in elementary school. Like it was something that I've always done.
Hmm.
I think when other people are brought into it, and like that being my customers, it's like, okay, this isn't just me that I'm impressing. This is now other people. Like, how are other people going to take something that I pride myself on?
Hmm.
Um, and I think that my main role is making the hoodies themselves. Like that is the part that I take on most, and she'll help sometimes. But we are located in different cities, so
Hmm.
it's that's I've taken on most of that. And I enjoy that. I think we both are very creative people. So when it comes to like designs and content, I think we share that.
Hmm.
Um, sure.
But then you also take over, really developing the brand and marketing. Like you're the chief marketing officer, right? You big
Yeah,
CMO.
we work together to do everything is what I want to say. I really enjoy, and it's the craziest thing. The part that I enjoy the most is finding nonprofits, which is the craziest thing because like in reality, that's like the second thing. Like the main thing is making the content, but I what really set off me wanting to get this started was when the idea of giving money to other people, donating to
Mhm.
nonprofits came to light. Because my mother has worked for nonprofits for a long time. I volunteer with nonprofits for a long time. So it's fulfilling to me to be able to give that back, even when doing something that is ultimately for myself.
Mm. And that's awesome. And obviously, I'm very familiar with your mom and her 10,000 degrees.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have gotten just a master class in business really your entire life.
And I
From
didn't even know it. Like, I really didn't know.
yeah. So what was it like when you, I guess, really started to understand that and see your mother as more than just your mom, but really a mentor in business?
So because she owns her own business, it was a lot of work from home. So what I didn't realize is like I'd be doing my homework and she was working. Like I never
Mhm.
even put those pieces together. But as I've gotten older, she starts to tell me what she's doing and like things she has in the works. So as I've gotten older, I've been able to see like her process for how she's doing this, who she's reaching out to get ideas on new ventures that she wants to go on, and like what I learned is that as I'm learning from her, she is still learning every single step
Mhm.
of the way. So that really allowed me to open my eyes and take into consideration all the other, like, there's so much more than just starting a business. So it's really interesting, like when I hear her talk about things, even now, like she's probably working on a new venture that I don't know about. But during COVID, she was working on something. And I was also working on this, which I said things to her, but I hadn't really fully gone into detail. But she was saying things, and I was like, that is a good idea. Like, come up with a
Mhm.
business plan, come up with your goals, come up with how much money you're willing to lose, things like that, that I never would have thought about, but things that she really put into perspective.
Yeah, and it really speaks to just the unpredictable nature of owning a business, which is why it's so essential to have a plan. And
Yeah.
when somebody can clearly lay that out for you, so you can build a solid foundation, it's so helpful. Like it's honestly invaluable to me to have a mentor,
Yeah.
and you definitely hit the jackpot with that.
Yeah. I lucked out. I really did.
So, as far as teaching yourself, what were some of the things that you were surprised by when you started a business? Where it's like, all right, yeah, I have a plan, but there's like this secret thing that like I couldn't even account for because I wasn't in it. You can only plan so well for something that you haven't really experienced. So, what
Right.
really opened up your eyes to like that first challenge where it's just like, what the hell is this? Like, why do I need to do this?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think what got me? Packaging and presentation. I
Ooh.
I had I think I didn't account for how exciting people found that. So I think what we had originally was like tissue paper and a little thank you card. And then one of our customers reached out on the Etsy and was like, I love this thank you card. Like, I love blah, 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 blah. Around the same time, I had ordered something on Etsy and it came with like stickers and like a QR code. And I found myself like, oh, this is fun. Like, I could scan the QR code, I could do this, I could do that. So I was like, maybe making it more interactive. And I was like, oh, I was showing my friends, look what came in my package. So it's like the gift that keeps on giving. You
Mhm.
bought something and you're also getting something back. And I also was
It's
like,
the unboxing videos.
it's the
It creates an
unboxing video.
experience.
Exactly, exactly. And I also was finding that like this is what luxury brands do. Like they also give. It's not just they're giving what they're selling, but they're giving. Like for example, my friend had taken me to some store. I can't even remember what it was. It was in Georgetown. And they offered us like appetizers. And I was like, what? Like I'm shopping for clothes. And it was just like, it made me intrigued though. So I kept going. So what we decided to do was throw in a QR code, throw in a little like sticker or a little quote every once in a while, and
Mhm.
had people do unboxing videos, which got some traction. People were interested in that, and we found ourselves getting more sales after those things happened. So I was like, oh, so it's not just the hoodie. Like there's more to this than making the hoodie.
Yeah, I like to call that the champagne of the
The
business.
champagne, that
So
is beautiful.
that's really what it is. Like sometimes you just go to a spot and it's free champagne. You go to a wedding, you want to stay a little bit longer because you got your champagne. And it seems
Exactly.
like for you, those unboxing videos was your way to keep people happy and in the party. Like here's
Right.
a little something extra, like a sprinkle, just to make you smile and really
Exactly.
just
So it's
lift
no
you.
longer just getting a hoodie, it's having an experience.
Right. Because that is so important. Like you mentioned, those unboxing videos, it really, and that's something that I didn't really think about either until those started becoming popular. Because I was like, oh yeah, like package design is a design itself. Like it's
Right.
really important, just the presentation of everything. And especially now that you can record all of it. Though those unboxing videos, they really changed the whole game.
They
So
really
was that fun for you to realize that, as the CMO of this business, like, hey, instead of doing all the heavy lifting myself, why don't I get the people who are, you know, buying my merchandise to make some content for me?
it was genius. And that was my work smarter, not harder moment. And
Yeah.
it started with friends who had purchased hoodies. And then it then progressed to, okay, we can be strategic again. And anyone who posts an unboxing video and tags us gets a discount on the next hoodie. So
Yeah.
they post, they already have bought a hoodie, and then it gives them an opportunity to then get a second hoodie.
That's cool. Have you given any consideration, you and Lily, to having some type of, I guess, like affiliate program, having like brand ambassadors, people who just, become really partners with you in doing that?
Yeah, it's never something I think we've ever concretely thought of. I feel like in the beginning we had like built-in brand ambassadors because we had the support of our friends and family, and they were kind of just promoting at all times and stuff like that.
Those are
So
the best.
now, as we're beginning to move out of, I mean, we've probably moved out of being a new business at this point, but now as we're really getting into being more established, we're like, okay, what's next to continue marketing?
Hmm. Yeah, you a vet. You ain't a rookie
I
no
know,
more.
it's crazy. Doesn't feel like it. It feels like it just started yesterday.
Yeah, and it's really cool when you get to that point where it's just like I have my process. Like I have everything kind of mapped out the way that I wanted to. I've revised the business plan multiple times to, help me navigate through all the twists and turns.
Right.
So, do you feel that it's easier for you now, even though things are getting harder because scaling a business is never easy? Do you think that you just, all of those things that you used to feel like you worried about aren't really a factor in your decision making as far as just like wearing you down?
I would definitely say I've gotten more efficient. I think
Hmm.
like before I used to be like, okay, 1 centimeter to the left and blah, 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 and like be measuring it. And now I can like eyeball it, especially we have hoodies that are more popular. So those ones are just like, okay, boom, like I can see where it needs to be.
Hmm.
Um, so I definitely think in that sense it has gotten easier. Having more orders, having more people coming in has gotten difficult, especially as school for me has been going,
Hmm.
been ramping up. So in that sense, I would say it's harder, but I'm becoming more efficient. So it's kind of like working its way to balancing out.
Yeah, and it's never going to be fully balanced.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing that you just kind of have to accept.
Yeah.
You're just being an entrepreneur is just a constant balancing act. There's gonna be those things that just sometimes are gonna be out of whack, and really understanding, identifying your priorities is something that is essential. And you feel like for right now, school is such a big priority that like parts of the business you just have to make compromises on. And that's normal.
That's true. That's true. There's definitely compromise. There's definitely uh BP Co is on a hiatus right now. We'll be back. Sign up to get an email when we're back. Like it's a lot of
Hmm.
acknowledgement of because I know for me that I never want to not put out what I'm saying I'm putting out. So if I'm not capable, or I feel as though I'm in a moment where I'm not going to be able to get something to someone in 5 to 10 business days, let me just pause these orders for a week until I can get from under what's going on, so that it's not like, oh, they don't deliver their stuff on time. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want that reputation.
Hmm. Yo, reputation, that's the operative word.
Yeah.
And it's vital when, especially when you build a brand around connecting people. Do you think that customer service was something that took a little while getting used to?
I don't actually really think so. I feel like I've worked enough, and I've worked with kids. And honestly, working with kids is the hardest thing because of the parents, not the kids. So if you can work with a parent, I really do believe that you can work with anyone.
Wow, shout out to all those helicopter parents out there.
Shout out to them.
Got nerves of steel.
Seriously.
But with the customer service, you really mentioned something that is super important, which is the reputation. Not only building it, but maintaining it. Because it takes a long time to earn somebody's trust, but once you lose it, I mean, it can all come crashing down in like 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Especially now where being a content creator, you want to be loose, you want to have fun, but you don't want to say go over the line too much. You don't want to like offend anybody, or put out a hoodie or something that has a phrase that people that are going to alienate people and stuff like that. So what has that been like for you, really not only seeing that you're responsible for this brand identity outside of just representing you as a woman, Elisa Adelphin, but this is a separate thing from you now that has its own its own life, really, its own set of values, its own expectations, and it's really something that it can be difficult to maintain. And what have you felt like you've been able to do to be consistent with that?
And what's crazy is, like, social media has been a great source of our success. But the scariest thing is, especially in the world of cancel culture, it can be the thing that can take us down. Like, it's
Hmm.
a very scary line to dance. And especially, we're putting out things that are supposed to be relatable, but there's a fine line between relatable and something that might offend someone else. So it takes a lot of careful consideration. And I feel like me as a person, like, I am very aware, or I try to be very aware and very intentional with the things that I say and the things that I put out there. So
Right.
every single thing that we do or say or put on something, I'm like, could this be interpreted wrong? If I ever even have a doubt, I usually will just chuck it, because there's so many ideas that can happen. Like, nothing is worth that risk.
That is so smart.
Yeah.
You,
It's
you
just the
don't have.
safest bet.
Yes, and it's that's the thing, is just really understanding how to hedge your bets. Because and I mentioned this in one of my previous conversations. You have to have like a level of cognitive dissonance
Yep.
to be a business owner. Like, you have to be just a little bit crazy in some way to think that you're just gonna pick this up and just turn it into this whole thing and just
Yep.
plant this seed and it'll grow.
Yep.
So it's really interesting, that process of learning how to nurture that. I always think of it more so as I'm not building really a house. Like, I'm laying the foundation for a garden, because my business is going to grow and change in ways that I probably wouldn't even expect.
Yeah.
But, when you take into consideration who your clients are, what is it that they want, the world that you're living in, what is shaping it, all of these things, they really can help and hurt you. And like you said, it's a very fine line, like really figuring that out.
Yeah. It's definitely a fine line. And again, I gotta plug Lily, like, the having that co-founder, she'll say something to me and I'll be like, no. Like, if two people can't like it, then the multitude can't like it. We have to both like it. It just doesn't make sense.
So you're your own focus group.
We're our own focus group. We will sit in a room and just yell words. And that's how I function in general. Like, if I'm writing a paper, I'll just say a bunch of things until what I need gets out. So, I
Mhm.
mean, that's kind of just how we function.
Yo, that I feel you on that. Because there's times, and especially making content, that's one of like the biggest things where you have more stuff in the trash than you end up actually posting. Like you just have to throw stuff out. Like it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like
Exactly.
hopefully it sticks. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, I have so many like rough drafts and like unused graphics and footage and a whole bunch of stuff. And you learn at a certain point that it's part of the creative process. Like you can't just expect your first draft to be your best. You have to get those reps in. Like
Exactly.
Steph Curry sometimes has to take 23s because maybe that's what it takes. Like most of them are going to go in, but you got to shoot the shot.
Exactly. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. I mean, it's something like we've said, like my mom has been running her own stuff for a long time now. So I've seen the work that goes behind the product. But I
Mhm.
think a lot of people, when wanting to start things, aren't seeing that or don't know about how much it actually takes. Like you might have, okay, let's say I have at a moment 3 different phrases to put on a hoodie, but there was probably 15 other ones that were in
Mhm.
process. Like it's a long process that doesn't just come automatically. So I think that's something to take into consideration as well.
Yeah, it's and that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy having these conversations. Is that to kind of peel back the curtain so people can really understand. It's it's not what you think it is. You
Right.
know, we got to tell these stories of really um and it's not faking until you make it. It's really just being persistent
Yep.
and really not taking no for an answer and just having that level of crazy about you that's just like, oh, I don't care what's in my way. I'm still going to keep going.
Yep.
Like, why would I stop?
Yep.
You know, you just, you can't quit too early. And a lot of times it's going to look different because one, people might think that you're wasting your time. They're like, "Oh, you're crazy. Like this isn't gonna work. Like, why are
Right.
you doing all this?" But then on the other side, if you don't show it to them, then they don't really fully appreciate that process
Right.
that goes into it, where they
And
can
the
just be like,
craziest
"Oh, you're an
balance
overnight
is like
success."
the willingness to fail is important, but also refusing to fail. So like being willing
Mhm.
for that possibility to occur, but when if you start to see it coming, saying, okay, I refuse to let it get to this point. It's an interesting balance of figuring out what you're willing to put on the line.
Yo, what you're willing to put on the line, that is real.
Yeah.
There's been times where you just have to make sacrifices to make it happen. Where I'm just like, you know what? I really love, ordering out. Well, let me just try to like save some money so I can put
Yeah.
into the business. Like, or I really want to go to this concert, or like I really want to go party. Or I want to, do all these things that every young person wants to do. You just want to live
Right.
your life. And then it's just like I have this baby over here that just like will die if I don't give it attention.
Well,
And that
literally,
baby is your business.
if you ever want to mature quick, start a business. You got to figure that stuff out.
You hear that, people? The business is the baby.
The business is the baby.
Wow. And then as far as continuing to nurture it, you also start to learn more about yourself too, which is also really, really cool. What do you think starting this business has really highlighted about you and your character? How have you grown with this business and really, find that it helped you get to a place that you're just like, oh, wow, like, so this is who I am. Hmm.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've learned that I care a lot. And I don't think I didn't know that, but I think I learned I learned I care a lot in multiple ways. So I learned that I care a lot because I was most excited about giving money to nonprofits, right? But I also learned that
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that everything that I put out resonated with at least one person or didn't not resonate or offend any other person. I think I learned a lot about like how many steps forward that I try and think or I try to control, but I'm also learning about myself that I am capable of taking a step back and being willing to take that risk and being selfish in some ways to make sure that the business is successful, which also still isn't selfish because it's the business and it's not even me. But I'm learning. I'm learning about that. I'm learning about myself in that
Yeah, you got to tell people like it's not me, it's the business.
way.
Like blame
Exactly.
the business.
It's not me. I didn't do it.
It was not me. Wow. All right, so we're coming up on the end of our time here, but I'm just like so happy to learn about more about this business, get an insight into when I'm gonna get my special lavender hoodie.
Listen, I'm gonna start dyeing hoodies myself to get you this lavender hoodie.
Ooh, I love that. So I guess the last thing that I wanted to talk about was just the relationship that you have right now with the people that you're serving, and as far as them growing with you, them seeing you, and really understanding all the work that goes into it. What advice would you have for someone who wants to be in a similar position that you're in right now, who does have that passion for arts and craft and has a very creative mind that wants to start a business where they're delivering that value for people?
I think it's a very vulnerable experience to share your creativity with the world. And I think that's where most of my fear came from. It's like, it's something I'm passionate about. It's something I think that I'm good at, but will other people think so? And I think
Mhm.
that a lot of people with the talent can relate to that. I think the biggest thing to remember is the billions of people that are in the world, you are going to resonate with someone. You are going to resonate with more than one person. And you kind of just have to remind yourself of that throughout the whole process. And you also have to accept that people may not like what you're doing. And that is also okay because we're all entitled to our own opinions, we're all entitled to our own preferences. So it's kind
Mhm.
of just accepting that you will be able to figure it out. You will find someone who has a passion. And also, don't be afraid to bounce those ideas off of someone. Have a co-founder or just have people who are willing to listen to what you're saying and give you feedback, someone that you trust. And I think that that is the most important aspect. And it doesn't have to happen right away. Like the idea for a business, you don't have to do it tomorrow. If I have the idea today, I don't have to do it tomorrow. I can sit on it. So there's no
Mhm.
reason to rush yourself, especially when you don't have anything out yet. You can take all the time that you need. And I think that's something that is important to know.
Yeah, you got to find your tribe. That
Yeah.
that's really what helps keep things going. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Elisa, for talking with me today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so
I'm
much for
so
having
happy.
me.
Yeah, I'm just so happy to see you just continue to flourish in this space because I know that it's something that you've always enjoyed, and seeing now that you're able to integrate it into something that is going to line your pockets, it's just really exciting.
It's very exciting. And I'm really happy that we kind of started this journey at the same time. You know what I mean? So like we're
Mhm.
bouncing stuff off of each other all the time. So I love that.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. We definitely have to do this again sometime. I'm really excited to see where else you can take this brand. And everybody, go shop with Basic Problems Co. Please tell the people where can they find you? What are the links? Where you at on the socials? How can they get in contact with you?
We can be followed on Instagram at Basic Problems Co. We have the same name on Etsy, Basic Problems Co. And if you ever want to email us, we are basicproblemsco@gmail.com. We kept it simple. So if you remember that, you're all set.
That's great. Consistent all around. Everybody, all those links will be in the description below. So don't worry about finding everything. We're going to deliver it right to you. Thanks again, Elisa, for talking to us today.
Of
We'll look
course.
forward to the next time.
Yeah.
I hope that you took a lot of meaningful insights from this conversation. I know for sure I did. I know I had a lot of fun recording it and talking to our guest today. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight some of my key insights from today's conversation. Hope you enjoy. And if you have any that you think that I may have missed, go ahead and drop them in the comments below.
What else do we want to do? We don't just want to be a hoodie business. Everybody is just a hoodie business. That's when we came up with the idea of putting 10% of the profit towards other nonprofits. So We basically came up with whatever profit we make, 10% is going to other people. How are we making these decisions? Raising awareness. So we decided, okay, each month, every month is an awareness month. It's like 15 different awareness months. So we found one
Yeah.
that resonated with us, that we thought would resonate with other people. And it basically allows people to be as basic as they want to be, but also make a difference. On nonprofits based on sexual assault, we have done nonprofits on students young girls getting education, women in STEM. I have a friend of mine who has a nonprofit for students to get scholarships after their senior year, because it's very unlikely to get a scholarship once you're already in college. It's called Be the Difference. So we did put money towards that. We put money towards so many things I honestly can't even keep track, but it's very exciting for us. And it's also exciting for people to get excited about what we're giving money to. So I kind of turn it into work, if that makes any sense. I know it sounds crazy.
No, that's the fact. It really has to be that way.
Yeah. So that's the main thing that I found has been the most beneficial for me, to give myself grace and give myself time to reward myself, because I work hard and I do deserve that. And I think it's taken me a long time to realize that. Was first considering getting started, that I was simply terrified. Like I was horrified that it wasn't going to work. Something was going to go wrong. Someone wasn't going to like it. I was going to be overwhelmed. I was worried about all of the what ifs. And I think it was you that said, you just need to do it. Like you're not going to know until it happens.
Yeah.
You have to just invest yourself in it and be willing to take that risk. So once I got over the fear and the perception that it may bring across, and I just did it, don't get me wrong, I was still terrified as I hit set. I was terrified. But it kind of just fell into place. When we were first starting, a lot of the fear was also, what if this falls short right away? Will we lose money? We don't want to lose too much money. We didn't know how many hoodies to buy. We didn't know who was going to be intrigued. So we actually did, our first set of orders was a pre-order. We did like a 3-week pre-order situation to see how many orders we got. And that's how we determined moving forward how many hoodies we should be buying at a time. So we're not losing money along the way.
Yo, that cash flow, we gotta be on it.
Listen, I was like, listen, Lily, if we can do anything, I want us to only put in money once. If we can then just keep it going, where we're just using the money that we've made to continue to grow, that's a win for me.
Right. Have the inventory and making sure that you're making your profit margins the way that it should be, so that the business is now self-sustainable. Yeah. How did you get to that frame of mind? Like, where did you learn these principles of business?
I know when we started thinking about the money it was going to take, I was like, okay, this is kind of steep at the end, like to start out, it's giving steep. That's what it was given. So I was like, okay, what can we do to avoid putting too much money in before getting money out? And that's when the whole idea of the pre-orders came to be. And it probably was strategies that came along from my mom having a business and seeing how she handled certain situations and money that she had to put in and give out and stuff like that. So it maybe was just something that I've seen, and then I had to figure out how to apply that to basic problems. I know for me that I never want to not put out what I'm saying I'm putting out. So if I'm not capable, or I feel as though I'm in a moment where I'm not going to be able to get something to someone in 5 to 10 business days, let me just pause these orders for a week until I can get from under what's going on, so that it's not like, oh, they don't deliver their stuff on time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that reputation.
That.
And what's crazy is, like, social media has been a great source of our success. But the scariest thing is, especially in the world of cancel culture, it can be the thing that can take us down. Like, it's a very scary line to dance. And especially, we're putting out things that are supposed to be relatable, but there's a fine line between relatable and something that might offend someone else. So it takes a lot of careful consideration. And I feel like me as a person, like I am very aware, or I try to be very aware and very intentional with the things that I say and the things that I put out there. So
Right.
every single thing that we do or say or put on something, I'm like, could this be interpreted wrong? If I ever even have a doubt, I usually will just chuck it because there's so many ideas that can happen. Like nothing is worth that risk.
That is so smart.
We're our own focus group. We will sit in a room and just yell words. And that's how I function in general. Like if I'm writing a paper, I'll just say a bunch of things until what I need gets out. So, I
hmm
mean, that's kind of just how we function.
Yo, that I feel you on that. Cause there's times, and especially making content, that's one of like the biggest things where you have more stuff in the trash than you end up actually posting. Like you just have to throw stuff out. Like it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like
Exactly.
hopefully it sticks, you know.
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. I mean, it's something like we've said, like my mom has been running her own stuff for a long time now. So I've seen the work that goes behind the product. But I
Mhm,
think a lot of people, when wanting to start things, aren't seeing that or don't know about how much it actually takes. Like you might have, okay, let's say I have at a moment 3 different phrases to put on a hoodie, but there was probably 15 other ones that were in
mhm.
process. Like it's a long process that doesn't just come automatically. So I think that's something to take into consideration as well.